Welcome everyone. This is Sayer G, founder of GreenMedInfo, and I'm so excited to welcome you into this community of GreenMedInfo professional users and power users. You are the heart and soul of this database. You are the reason why I spent over 10 years putting together these abstracts. I'm so excited that you have agreed that this is a valuable resource and you're going to help use this to support the advocacies we share, which is, of course, moving natural and integrative medicine off the fringes of the movement into the center of medicine. I believe that the standard of care must include these interventions, and I'm sure you feel the same, otherwise you wouldn't have become a member. So what we've been doing for you over the years is constantly improving on the tools that we've created to hopefully make your work easier to do and more powerful, as well as to create a real shield of protection around you, because as you know, practicing anything but conventional established medicine today could be considered a liability. And the constant invective is that this is not an evidence-based movement, that this is quackery, this is woo, this is on the fringes, but you and I probably already know that there are 26 million citations available on Medline, over 1 million of which directly relate to supporting the types of age-old interventions that have stood the test of time and that is still the world's default medical system. And so what we've done at Agreement Info is we're bringing the evidence to the forefront, and you, our users, are the ones who are on the front lines, and we are hopefully protecting you now with research that is going to help really move the paradigm forward. So let me show you what we've created for you. This is the new start page. So when you're logged in, you now have this default view with all the features we've been working so hard for you on in the front, so you no longer have to go up to the menu item here and navigate to them. Although I do find this handy at times and you can still use it. We've made it easy now for you to get access to these great features. Now let me show you too, we have this handy search function that we adopted from Twitter's open access architecture, and it really makes it easy to just really quickly find things. You know, when you Google something, you have to type in what you're looking for, hit enter, and then see a page of results and then click on what you want. Well, this takes that step away, so it makes it instant. It took us a lot of time to develop this, but we are so excited we have it. So as a quick example, let me show you what happens when we bring up Ginger. Going to click Ginger, and you have here a separate database dedicated to just Ginger research. So in the middle, of course, you have these wonderful abstracts, and of course you can filter them by the different study types. You can even filter by date. There are a lot of ways to take advantage of these functions. On the left, you see a snapshot of the research. So here you have the most evidence-based approach, Ginger being good for type 2 diabetes on the top, because there's 10 articles to support that. Then you have what's called CK, or cumulative knowledge, and this score is taking into account both the evidence quantity, meaning the number of studies, and the quality of the research. So of course, if it's a human clinical trial, that's more valuable than a cellular animal study in theory, so we give it more points, and that gives you a higher score. So this makes it easy, of course, to access that research. And of course, you have 81 different pharmacological actions associated with Ginger. Now, why is this important? Well, maybe you're talking to a colleague one day, and you say, you know what, Ginger has neuroprotective actions. And the skeptic is like, well, that doesn't sound very evidence-based. Where'd you read that online? You know, it's not something you're going to find on WebMD in all likelihood. Well, here in Agreement Info, you can always just click neuroprotective agents, and that research will focus here for you. Now, of course, on the left, you have a way to download this research, which is just Ginger focused on its neuroprotective properties, into a separate PDF, which should only take you a few seconds because we've pre-created them all. We have, I think, almost 100,000 PDFs available to you now. So this is a PDF that's very high gravitas, like all of our research documents. It links directly to the NCBI citation location on Medline's PubMed. So that gives you a handy research shortcut, as well as you have this PDF in a form that you can pretty much just send to somebody But here's another cool trick that we created, which is sometimes you don't want to send a data-heavy PDF. Well, you can click the share page, and this is mobile responsive, so down to an iPhone to an iPad, you're going to have the ability to basically share this virally, or you could of course email it. There's all these handy functions embedded. You can Google Plus it, whatever way you want to get the information out far and wide. So of course this is only available to our professional and power users, and what happens here is that when you create one of these pages, it's now public. So it's actually, you've helped create an anonymous page that's available to the world that now will help to disseminate the research further than it would have gone otherwise. So this is a default feature that of course all members will get, which is to utilize this function right here. But we've made it a little easier for you to get the sort of higher power functions that we've been working hard on. And now we've created these 3 buttons here for you that give you what we're calling wizards. Wizards because it sort of helps you along easily. Let's say you want to defend the statement that statins are just not good for people. Let's go to statin drugs. Find this research PDF, and I think there's over 5,000 in our database that you can get for free, even though they cost individually up to $49.95. They're completely free, $110,000 value according to the prices that we have on our database already for them individually. So this one document has research on over 340 adverse health effects. Can you imagine? I mean, cataracts, liver damage, let's see, hepatitis, brain damage. This is really disturbing. Heart failure, 7 studies alone on heart failure related to statins. So this gives you the brief overview of this extensive list. Okay, but let's look. Here's the actual sections and all the abstracts supporting these signals of harm. Now, this is a 559-page document. Talk about gravitas. So this is going to give you the ammunition that you may need to make statements of truth and fact about the unintended adverse effects of pharmaceutical intervention. This is important because in this day and age, when you are telling people, let's say you're a chiropractor, that you believe that the myalgia that the patient is experiencing isn't related to subluxation, but is because they're being basically poisoned with these patented pharmaceuticals, you can send this entire document to a colleague who might want to report you to the health board because they feel that you're practicing non-evidence-based medicine. So can you see that GreenMedInfo is also a means to defend yourself against claims that this is not an evidence-based movement. Now let's also go to generate focused research results. I gave you a little example previously. I'm going to go to turmeric when I showed you the database. But here you go. Turmeric is our largest section. And you have now listed below all the research in summarization across the diseases it's been studied to prevent and or treat. There's 830 of them, as well as the pharmacological actions exhibited by this amazing plant. We're talking about over 260 distinct pharmacological actions. Well, I always like to use the example of interleukin-6 downregulation. Interleukin-6 downregulation, there it is. Because it's an important way to reduce inflammation. And, people who have been diagnosed with polymyalgia rheumatica, which interestingly enough has been directly linked to statins, they have elevated interleukin-6 levels. But there's very little research available for determining a protocol for those individuals because it's a relatively new biomarker and there aren't adequate capital available for funding a lot of research on reducing interleukin-6 naturally. So in this case, I'm going to download that document as well as show you the public page, 56 articles on things that can help with interleukin downregulation that are in the turmeric family of biomolecules. So much of it's curcumin. But can you imagine that? Over 50 abstracts now showing that curcumin or turmeric compounds can downregulate interleukin-6. Clinicians, especially, who are trying to help alleviate suffering in patients, can utilize this system now to make easier treatment decisions that are actually evidence-based. Now, of course, this is preliminary research, preclinical, but as a physician, you have the right and to a degree obligation to utilize whatever evidence is available to you to find a way to help your patients reduce their suffering. So it's no longer shooting in the dark. Oh, turmeric I heard is good for you. Can I take it? Well, use our handy research system and create the documents you need to support your interventions. And now you have at your disposal, I believe, a unique way to further the objectives of natural medicine. Now we have another really interesting feature that many of you probably don't even know exists, which is to generate smart search wizard. So let's say you've got someone who's struggling with cataracts, okay? And let's say they also have, arthritis. Let's just say knee arthritis. Okay, those are the two primary concerns. We're going to generate a unique document or evidence a result, which is based on just those two parameters. Now, our entire database is being dynamically searched. So any new evidence we put in just a few days ago will be taken into account. It's cross-referencing those two conditions and producing a document that will show you what is most compelling for these two conditions together. So curcumin and vitamin E, green tea, selenium, and here are the ones that are most suspect, of course, is that knee osteoarthritis can be caused by statin drugs, as well as cataracts can be caused by statin drugs. So that's sort of an alarm. So you have 28 studies supporting this document stating that how many substances? 4 substances may be therapeutic for this particular person's condition. Now, of course, this is available for licensed health professionals to utilize. It's not to make any kind of treatment recommendation. This is information that can be used for treatment, but it's something that has to be done, of course, legally. So this is a small example because we have some nodes where you have over 2,000 abstracts, or cancer, which has, I think, 5,000 abstracts. So you can create very dense documents that cross-reference all the research on our site. Now keep in mind, when you use larger nodes with your membership, it's going to take more time. So this feature is something that we really think that people will like, but it's going to take a little patience at times. That was a very quick example, but some will take even a couple minutes to crunch all the data. Now, say you're somebody who has a smoothie shop and you're really into, nutrition as medicine. Let's say you're making an acai bowl and you have acai and you maybe have some cacao, or let's say coconut oil. Let's say you have particular berry, let's say blackberry. Blackberry, where are you? Okay, AC, by the way, stands for article count number. So 38 articles for coconut, 24 for blackberry. Let's generate some results. So now this will produce the same type of results for you. It'll be a document that's referenced to NCBI citations that show you what is the most therapeutic outcome of this formulation, like what conditions might benefit most. And I find that to be very powerful because, of course, we all here, I think, believe that Hippocrates was correct, food is medicine. But do we have the research to support that? I will say yes. And not only will I say that, I've spent quite a lot of time creating these tools for you so that you can prove that statement. So here are the most applicable conditions: oxidative stress, cognitive decline or dysfunction, inflammation. See, what I find interesting is that recently the FDA and FTC has sent out warning letters to manufacturers of foods, like say pomegranate, walnut, and they've stated that because they've made claims of health about those foods, that they're technically drugs, because the FDA, FTC guidelines state that if something prevents, treats, cures, or diagnoses a disease, then it is technically a drug. Well, in this case, what we've created with GreenMedInfo is a way to make statements of fact, but letting the research speak for itself. And so in this case, saying that this formulation is antioxidant or is neuroprotective, here's the articles from the National Library of Medicine proving that, okay? And here's all of the citations. Sorry, I'm just clicking around too quickly by accident. So this gives you a good sense of what this does. And we even have another one called pharmacological action. So let's say you're looking for a neuroprotective substance. This is going to be a pretty big, oh my gosh, here's an example. 1,099 articles. And let's say you're also looking, just for the heck of it, we'll do interleukin 8 downregulation. We're going to generate this and we'll see how long it takes. But this will now enable you to determine what foods or what plants or what vitamins or minerals are going to be best for being neuroprotective and reducing interleukin 8. And again, you can select more than those two features. You could actually select 4 as a professional member. So this is going to take a little time, as you can see. We put in this bar to help you anticipate how long, but I just want to give you a sense again for when you select a node with almost 1,100 articles, it is dynamically pulling the data from our MySQL database, and it's producing a novel new result for you. So this is not something that necessarily is going to spit out a result immediately, but it is going to provide you powerful evidence-based research that is referenced. And that's really the key here, because we all want to be able to state things as true, but we need to use the research that's available, because in this day and age, it's a political act of suicide in practicing natural integrative medicine or functional medicine to not have research, published research supporting what it is you're saying or doing. And that's why GreenMedInfo exists. It's to help you get the research that you need. So in this case, as you can see, this is a pretty significant document. You have 43 substances that should be ideal for generating neuroprotective results as well as reducing interleukin 8. That's 691 articles, and again, you can create a public page. Say you're writing an article or a quote blog. You could be writing in that article that curcumin and 42 other substances have been shown to both reduce interleukin 8 and protect the neurological tissue. And so therefore you can link into that statement this particular URL, and you have a highly evidence-based statement. And so that's the key. It could also be done in an email to a colleague. We just want to give you the research that you so deserve, given that you've decided to practice what I believe is the most honorable form of medicine, one that is safe and effective relative to pharmaceutical experimental medicine. Now, of course, we still have these other additional features and resources. The research dashboard, which I'll show you quickly right here, we spent a huge amount of time on because we want to give you a central location so you can see what your PDF downloads are, you know, how many articles there are, for example, in each one. This is 2,465 abstracts in this one download itself. And this is all available for free with a professional membership. So that means that instead of having to buy them individually, you get over $110,000 worth of PDFs at your disposal that we happily would love for you to download and share with your colleagues, spread large and wide. That is the idea here. And then, of course, you have your handy indexes so that you want to look up particular interventions. Let's say it's X-ray mammography. It's all in one spot. And again, your handy auto search here, adopted off the Twitter architecture. So that's another thing that we've created here for you to access very easily. Therapeutic interventions is another way to basically ascertain what it is that you want for a particular condition as far as prevention, treatment, and of course, in any particular section, we have the substances that have been researched that may be good for arthritis, problem substances, which actually can cause harm, therapeutic actions, which I love this index. I don't know if everyone realizes, but we have several hundred different therapeutic actions that are indexed on GreenMedInfo, which often involve the consumption of nothing. So it's not supplements, it's not dietary modification only, it's Tai Chi, it's distant healing, it's yoga. So these are the ones specifically for arthritis. And here are problematic actions. Can you imagine? Look at all the vaccines that have been associated with arthritis-like symptoms. So that's a handy way to get direct access to the research, as well as the other things that we have for you now. We have the My Research page, which I love, which is now when you're navigating the different abstracts, you can basically remove or add the different abstracts that you find most interesting, so you can come back to them. That makes it easier, obviously, than having to remember or constantly bookmark. And let's see, we have the GreenMedInfo community page. So if you're a Facebook user, which most of us are, we now have a exclusive community just for healthcare practitioners so that you can connect, you can share resources, You can brainstorm together, you can commiserate, you can celebrate. I mean, this is really for those that we consider the top supporters of this movement and of GreenMedInfo. We want you to have your own special space where you can connect and collaborate. The search abstracts function is really helpful. A number of you probably don't even know it exists yet, but we create a separate search. So you're looking for, say, just a very specific type of information, let's say on retinoblastoma and curcumin, and this will search all 33,000 plus abstracts and enable you to hopefully isolate the research you want and add it to your special research section if need be. We have the search articles page, which is another handy device because, a lot of this research is obscure, and so you just want research that's been translated in more layman's terms that you can share, say, with your base or with friends or family or colleagues. Well, here we have all of the articles just on turmeric, or we could do the same for ginger, right? We just want to make it easy for you to access all of the reports. I mean, can you imagine how many times we've reported on ginger? It's pretty amazing, some of the things that we found. And then we have, of course, the search all content, which is a great way to access abstracts, articles, everything together. I'm sorry, where did that go? Search content. Okay. This search basically will enable you to access all the information on the site simultaneously. So this is the new GreenMedInfo start page. We're so excited to have you as members. If you have questions, comments, feel free to go to the GreenMedInfo community page. Of course, log in, before you click that. And again, thank you so much for helping us to continue to spread the good word about natural evidence-based medicine and for helping to really further the paradigm forward in an accelerated way. This is Sayer G, and so happy for you to join us. Thank you so much.